Love you, Linda. Love you.
The courthouse the other day in the hallway, you're singing "Oh Happy Day."
One word prayer. Justice, where are you?
Hey, welcome to Justice Serve TV. Whoa, Michel Bryant here. Looks like tonight must be a cabaret night. What's going on there,
Michel
Linda Kenney
Bryant.
Baden?
Well, you know, when you got on today, you mentioned that the prosecution case, and you know, it seems like the DNA was such a long time ago, doesn't it? The DNA
It really
experts.
does, yeah.
I mean, I don't even remember when they've been on, but it seems like, you know, I'm just. And you mentioned about Mr. Burgess, you know, and remember, Mr. Burgess has to testify. He was from Aperture. He was their digital analyst expert. Okay, at least he was until 5 o'clock tonight, our time.
That may not be true anymore.
And you said it's kind of like a Jenga game.
Oh yes, I did.
I'm
I said his whole testimony.
I'm just here putting together my made. You can't really see it because now my Linda Kenney Baden is in front of it. This was made to us as apparently made as a gift, and it's in case you haven't remembered it, in case you haven't seen it. It's a Jenga tower. It's sort of. It's supposed to go on top of one another. Whoa! Guess what happened? It just fell down like, and let me do the rest of it. Like Mr. Burgess is going to fall down. There you have it.
There you go. You have
There's
a personal.
the Jenga.
I'm more impressed that you have a personalized Jenga set.
I have a personalized Jenga that was a gift from somebody who spent the time to cut it up, to paint it, and to hand make it. And it has it has actually members to Valjean, and there's 2B, and there's Baden, and my husband Michael. Yes, so that's
beautiful.
This is. Let me just put to you. This is Mr. Burgess, and this is the Commonwealth case. So I am going to clean this up, Mr. And we're going to have to replay. I guess we can cut the Jenga demonstration. Okay. You actually wanted. I should tell people you wanted to know when I came on, you know, pre-show with that board in front of me. It's actually not really a board. It's really a part of a legal pad, just so you know. Whether I was naked in front of there. No, that's only somebody who hates us sent us naked pictures of his dick today. Okay.
What?
Yes, you didn't see that?
Sorry,
yeah, somebody.
I'm glad I did not see that.
Yeah, so I just said that's really nice. I mean, he or she. You know, who would ever want that? You know, so we're not bashful and we're not shy here at Justice Serve TV. We call it like we see it, and what we see it is my Jenga tower.
Okay, so I will describe the situation. You will build it. Okay, so I said Jenga tower. You built the tower. I'll keep that in mind. I got to be careful what I say because it may come to life. So we have obviously the trial today may be more interesting than we thought it would be. We knew that Shannon Burgess, and I'm going to be, you know, every time I see the name Shannon, I guess unless you're Irish, I think it's a female. I'm sorry. There's Shannon with one N, S-H-A-N. That makes it a male. Anyway.
Well, it also made sure as Mr. Alessi, or as the Alessinator, as I've called him all day, is building his thing. He said, and you do spell your name, because he wanted to make sure he was right. Shannon with the one N, right?
Yeah,
like,
I see.
And
so I was a little sexy.
Typical man.
So anyway, there's this testimony coming in that sure. I don't think I heard one sure in the cross-examination of Shannon Burgess. Shannon Burgess has a very annoying pattern when being asked, at least on direct examination, of prefacing everything with sure. So he was all shirt out when it got to cross-examination, which is what we're going to get into. But before we do that, we've got a couple of these collateral things that are floating around outside the courtroom, are getting ugly. And we've talked quite a bit about our spokesperson, our spokes attorney, Mark Randazza, who's been, I mean, he could turn Dedham into a practice in and of itself. He's got a lot of other things going on, but every time he shows up or files in Dedham, something else seems to happen. There were 4 cases going into today. I'm sure there will be either an amendment to the Tom case to add assault and battery. That's the case in which he's my co-plaintiff. And then perhaps a new case for Emily Walsh, right? Or was that one already
Erica.
filed? Erica. Was that one already filed? I'm getting
Yes, he's already filed. He's already filed the assault and battery from last week. I'm sure she's still in jail, by the way, when I last checked.
Yeah, I was talking to Dina, who's kind of my conduit for her, and she thought she'd be out in a couple hours, which would be any time now, but they're not letting her talk to anybody. And so most important about that event was that Mark was right there. He was right there. I don't know if the cops knew he was there or not.
No.
When I talked to him over the weekend and told him I was out in California, I'd be heading back, he said, well, and I said, we got to fix this. This is outrageous that they've taken this new order and somehow twisted it to make it more restrictive. And he said, I'm going out there. So, he checked in with me this morning, said, are you there? And I said, no, I'm not going to make it for a day or two. He said, I'm about to land. So we know right where he went when he landed. And it was good that he was there. And then he had this emergency hearing at 4:00. I have yet to hear. In fact,
the judge, as a matter of fact, the judge or the federal court ordered them to Thursday at 3:00 to appear personally in front of the federal judge.
I think the cops or whom?
No, I guess the parties, since he's going at 4:00. So I actually, it was such a hectic day because when I got on at 8:50, all this was just happened with Tom's CPU, and I expected usually when you get on, we do a little thing about what's happened, blah blah blah. But what's happened is that it's crazy. It's just everything is nuts out there. So we did do it. Mark said the buffer zone update. Judge June wishes to see all of us 3 p.m. Thursday in the federal courthouse in Boston. Okay. And then I should note that Erica Walsh, and I said I was going to do this, and I did tweet it also from the Justice Serve TV website. Again, the sweatshirt that she's wearing, which says Criminals Control Norfolk County, is from Microdots, from Microdots merch store. And I said, if you support them, you will also be supporting the First Amendment. Have to buy some merch. Also, Liberty Center, who gives us Mark Randazzo, who also represents you in the suit that you have with Tom, CPU Tom.
Well, I'm just audibleizing here. Well, I'm thinking about the scheduling. Somebody said there is no Dedham court, no Karen Reed Thursday afternoon. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So you can go to Boston.
So maybe I'll just shoot on up to Boston and dip into that little extravaganza.
Yeah, because there's no cameras. Right, that's right. You're right there. Yeah. So maybe that's why he set it out.
You may be up in the cabin by then.
I'm going to be traveling to the cabin. I will be ready to be on by 1:00, maybe sooner. And then I could take over. And we could talk about what happened in court in the morning. I'll be listening.
Well, what I'm thinking is this: in the morning when you're tied up, I'll do the live thing from the ground there, and which will be great. We'll see what happens. It'll then be the morning of the hearing. We'll see what the demeanor.
You're not in jail.
Yeah, assuming now it sounds like anybody with half a brain would kind of stand down, right? With this pending, I'm not sure that they have the half a brain qualification. So who knows? But that morning, do our live thing from out in the front of the courthouse, catch the folks as they're entering, leaving for the short day, and cover whatever dead spots there happen to be. And then we may both be in the area there for our midday, and then I'll hit the road immediately to go. Boston's only half an hour, but you figure parking and courthouse issues and all of that. I want to make sure I'm in there when it starts. Here's what I'm thinking: the after party. Maybe I'll just, because it will be done. I'm sure the hearing will be done by 4-ish.
Oh, so. Sure. Federal court.
Maybe just hang there and do it right there or somewhere in that area before I hit the road and come home.
Yeah, and maybe we can even pre-tape a thing for Friday if we want to beforehand, whatever.
No, you're really going crazy on me now.
I am really going crazy on it. Tomorrow, just so you know, so people don't get crazy, we're going to be, Michael and I are switching. Because he's got another thing that he has to do. He's going to take, so when you get on, you won't see me at 8:50. You will see Michael Bryant, and I'll come on around noon, and I'll take it the rest of the day until he comes back on, or one of us comes back on, or something. We're not sure.
It's a little fuzzy tomorrow night.
Yeah. We were going to have an expert of our own who's a huge accident reconstructionist, who's going to give us the straight scoop as to what's going to be happening today. And we want to make sure, if Michael Bryant and I can't do him, have him on together, we'll try to do him Wednesday. He's been gracious enough to switch his days for us for a number of times. But he will be exclusive to us, Justice Serve TV. Okay. Hi, Olivia Niles. Olivia Niles in the chat. Olivia, oh my God, I've been liking your stuff. You're the one I want to talk about. I am I am
Yes.
I'm in love with this cross-examination, and I would like to pick up the phone right now, quite frankly, and talk to Aperture. Let's see. We did look up the number. Now we can't tell you what we're saying because we had this discussion about if we broadcast this over, that may be some type of wiretap violation.
Yeah, that could be
But
the D&E pizza rule.
the D&E piece of rule, but
mhm.
let's see, Aperture, check out. You know that they're, if you go on their website, what do they say?
Here, I've got the number you want because they have 6 offices, and I heard Burgess identify the Lakeside or Lakeland Avenue office. That's Long Beach.
Okay.
That number is 562.
Okay, let me write it down.
Okay.
562
562 494
494
4407.
4407.
And they're open till 6, so it's only 3 there.
Okay, so we want to get a statement from them. They say that they exist, if you look at them, to shine a light on the truth. So let me try to call them right now. Hello. Let me see.
So while you're doing that, we noted the changes to their website as it relates to Mr. Burgess. He's no longer an expert, which definitely leads to some very interesting cross or recross, right?
And they don't designate. They say that his CV is not designatable as an expert CV. But you know what? That's irrelevant because you still get to cross-examine on it if somebody's posted a CV that's wrong. So
it's almost like they're saying we had nothing to do with this. We were misled too. And we're fixing it as quickly as we learned about it. I don't know if that's true or not. They may be complicit. They may have been tweaking things to increase his profile, therefore increasing their business. So we'll never know. But they are now distancing themselves.
Yeah, and it's very interesting, isn't it? Let's see. If I were a gambling woman, which I'm not, I just play poker, and that's partially a game of skill. It's usually pretty much a game of skill. I'd bet that, let's say, and I don't wish this on anybody, but I bet that Mr. Burgers and Bite, that's his Twitter handle, is not going to be employed very much longer. I would assume that there's crisis management going on there right now. And I would assume that anyone that's ever had a case where he's been involved and they've had a verdict against them, whether it be criminal or civil, tomorrow is filing a lawsuit. Okay? We're going to see that happening. Mark my non-gambling words. Okay. So let me call them, and I'm going to have to maybe go on mute.
No, you're not going to hear them. I wouldn't do that. I mean, you're going to hear. I mean, unless they're yelling in the phone, you're not going to, understand them.
I'm listening to them. You can't hear, right?
No. Nope, can't hear a thing. And I'll be shocked if you get anything more than let me take a message. I just got a text from.
Okay, I'm going to speak with the office administrator. Please +3.
Yeah, I just got a text, a couple of them from Mark, so I'm going to share these.
Hold on 1 second while I'm talking here. Just hold on.
1 ringy dingy, 2 ringy dingies. No Ruth Buzzy fans here. What's the deal? Oh no, that was Lily Tomlin. My bad. Sorry. So while you're listening, just cut me off if something happens. So I sent him a note, update on the hearing. Oh my God, dude, you're never going to believe the shit that went down today. They arrested Erica Walsh, which we knew. Federal judge does not seem very enamored with the government. And then I said, yep, coming up there for your hearing on Thursday. And he said, awesome, 3 o'clock, federal courthouse. So that is set. Lock it in. That is set. So she's leaving a nasty message. Okay, there was a question we did not get to today. That was my fault. It kind of came in simultaneously with the hang up. So let me pull it up here and respond. I'm going to even respond without sharing it with LKB. Let's see.
Okay, I just left a long message.
Did you leave a nasty message?
No, not nasty, to the office administrator. I said, we would like to know if they're going to have a statement on their employee, Shannon Burgess. I said, and quite frankly, since it wasn't anything on their side, I probably could have let you hear it. I said, I would like to know whether or not he's going to be employed much longer. I said, I would like to know whether or not Dr. Welcher is going to testify based on the testimony that Mr. Burgess, the faulty testimony Mr. Burgess applied in court. court, and I asked them to get back to us. Left my name, left my actual phone number, my actual name, and I asked them to email us if they're going to have a statement to at JusticeServedTV, JusticeServedTV@gmail.com. So I
Nice.
left all of that. No one, by the way, when you press 3 for the office administrator, guess what? The office administrator does not pick up.
What a
Okay.
shocker. And
What
again,
a
it's in
shocker.
California, so it's very early. But that is the I heard him mention the street when they were talking about parts of the investigation or his report, and I looked it up real quick, like, so I know we got the right office.
Yeah, and I know, Missy, you're going to want to cut that phone call you didn't hear and my discussion of what I just asked on there, because again, we had this discussion. I couldn't play for you. I could play for you what I could have played for you what I said, but it's just in case somebody picked up. I didn't want to have that around. So there you are. But you saw it happening, and if you could read lips, you could read all my lips. The only time I covered my phone is when I gave them my private number.
I was looking.
It ringed a lot of ringy dingies. I lost count after 4 or 5. I mean, it for a while. It just
and it didn't before you got the recording.
Yeah, the recording just said, please leave a message. It didn't even leave a name. I am sure that a lot of things are happening with Aperture today.
Oh yeah, I mean, whoever's in charge of their web presence was very quick to make a change, right? Speaking of that, and we're going to get to the contradiction between what Mr. Brennan said to the court, what he represented on the record was the status of the reports from Burgess and the need for a new one, or at least his being apprised that there was a new one. Because remember, Shannon Burgess said, no, I did this on my own. This was nobody asked me to do this new report, even though the email I sent said in it, per your request. Just ignore that. I just cut and pasted that from an earlier one. Well, that's either a bold-faced lie or he's an idiot, because who could just cut and paste that part of a transmittal email? Anyway, so I found something that might be entertaining. We'll find out. Right. This goes back to 2 years ago. This is our friend having a conversation with Short Arm Solutions. They did some sort of cyber work, and so he was basically doing an interview. And I want you to listen to just a piece of it, because it's in light of what we saw today, I think it's very entertaining. So let's see if I can pull this off. I had problems with the audio on a clip I was running today, so please let me know, folks, if you can hear this when it's rolling here. Again, you hearing it?
No, not hearing it.
Okay. Again, I don't know why. It's perfectly clear and loud here. I'm not sure why it would not be playing for everyone else. I don't see any mute buttons anywhere. It all looks like it's running.
Is it sound up on it? Is it sound up on the clip itself?
I'm listening to it. I mean, I hear it perfectly well, and that's why I don't understand. That's why I download all my clips and play them from my computer, because I don't have to worry about these kinds of things. So if I can fix that, I will. This is him a couple of years ago, obviously, on the left. But he talks about life's failures and successes and how one might learn. So I think earlier today, Diz was able to grab the clip I was playing without audio, and she replayed it. But I'm going to just download this and do it the good old-fashioned way, where I have 100% control over the clip, because this is not very good. That concerns me a little bit, because I have the Burgess testimony that we're going to get to.
Boy.
And we'll see if it plays. Anyway, so that was him from 2 years ago. He was at a different company then.
And maybe it's
some company in Dallas.
Oh, really? Because this, when I just asked on Aperture, the phone number you gave me, it said biomechanical engineering or something. It didn't say Aperture. But that doesn't, it makes, that's possible. They could be buying up companies and have different companies.
That could be. But that company now, Aperture, has 6 offices in California, but they have more across the country. And of course, they are searching for the truth. Their goal is to expose the truth. So that's very important. Hey, Missy, if you see that question that was not answered from earlier today, it may have been sent my way, but I'm not seeing it. I just want to make sure we get to that at some point today. Okay, so, hey, look at that shot. Where'd that come from? That is not courtroom attire. Who's got that? Who's playing that? Where's that come from?
I don't know who is playing.
I
Whatever it
don't
is,
know.
it's not her. It's not whatever it is. The sound's not going there either.
Well, it's just sitting. It's just sitting.
Yeah.
And I'm not playing that one. So I have no idea what's going on with that. I don't even know where it's coming from. Oh, this isn't the same clip, Diz. This is not the clip I've got. I don't know what this is. I've never seen this in my life. So, yeah, I don't know. Okay, so let's try. Was that it? All the other stray things? I want to look at my list here, make sure we get all the stray tidbits.
No, Aiden.
Aiden Carney. So congratulations to Aiden. He's had a number of the charges dismissed against him. Not all of them. There were 17 total. I think 5 were dismissed, a variety of them. And so making progress. So he should be very happy, very proud about that tonight as he continues that fight.
And I haven't had a chance to read the decision because it came in late this afternoon.
Right.
Earlier, we were on the air. So I'm just going to actually tweet out that I did call the Aperture office that he said he worked out of. The recording did not say Aperture. Press 3 for office manager, left voicemail. I was on mute so as not to violate any wiretap laws, right? Any wiretap laws. Asked for a statement whether Burgess being fired if Welcher is testifying on false statements. Okay, so I'm going to post that, and then when you go back to the replay link, you'll be able to see that on the air, even though you can't hear me. You can't hear me, but you'll be able to see it.
Hey, and one other thing, Tom. We forgot about Tom, who was accosted today. Tom DeRocher was accosted by Mr. Hodman, a guy that the trooper told him Friday. Here's where we think you can be, and don't worry about this. And then sure enough, today, Monday, the next day after he's told him, he goes exactly where he said it was okay. And he's told, no, you got to go. And he was more than told you got to go. He was grabbed by the arms and yanked across the street and tossed down. He was assaulted and battered.
On camera. There's people with cameras. There's people watching. By the way, just before because I see Scott is here. And he's going to talk about that. But Aiden had 3 conspiracy charges dismissed, 2 witness intimidation charges dismissed, and 1 picketing charge dismissed. So 6 all total, 6 out of the 17. We'll have to see it, but I think everybody who now watched this, when we got into this, we didn't really know much. Everyone it was nasty against Aiden. We had him on the air. We found that he was very knowledgeable. We enjoyed interviewing him. We took a lot of heat for interviewing him. And we've stood behind him now, especially on his First Amendment rights, and especially on this case, because when he first got into this case, you thought this case may be kind of like, well, no, people must be making this up. It can't be that bad. Everybody?
Of course. And funny thing is, it's actually worse.
It's worse.
It's actually worse. Okay, so since Scott is there and he's out in the elements. He's out there.
By the way, we're all going to get back to Scott. We're going to get back to Shannon Burgess. So you got to stay.
Oh yeah, definitely. We're just jumping around as we need to because that's what we can do.
Eric has been released.
Hey man, Scott McGinnis in the wild.
Michael, how are you? It's a little loud here.
Wait a second.
We have this Monday gathering.
You hear that? Scott, am I chicken liver? He's ignoring me.
No, I said hi, Linda. Hi, Michael.
Hi, Scott.
Okay.
It's a little loud here. This is a Monday night dive bar.
Is that a gathering, an official organization meeting?
Yeah, where we go on Mondays after court.
Okay. And any key decisions been made there?
Well, I mean, we're all, waiting to see when Erica can get bailed out of Framingham.
She's
still in?
No, she's been released. Saying that she just
the problem is the state police aren't going to take her to Norfolk County Jail because they don't have female beds. So they have to bring her to MCI Framingham to the awaiting trial unit, and they have to wait for a bailiff to bail her.
Somehow she's out. Well, somebody's reported she's out.
She's been released.
But I have not confirmed that independently.
Yeah, she's out. That says she's out. Everybody in our chat said she's out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, a bailiff has to go there every evening to, bail people.
And the charge is what? Do we know the official charge?
I think Bao, Clash with Bao, the one that was arrested there a week or 2 ago.
Yes.
Who's the professional protester that travels the country. And I think they're charging them with trespassing. I don't know what else they can charge them with.
I mean, obstruction, maybe some obstruction or resisting arrest or something. I mean, who knows?
Obviously, she didn't resist arrest.
Mark Randazzo was seated right there, right, Scotty? Mark Randazzo was seated right there. They didn't know who he was, and he's watching the whole thing.
I mean, somebody was trying to forward you the video. Did you have the video of her arrest?
We have some stills, but I don't have the video at hand. I know it's out and around. Yeah.
I know there was plenty of people that walked with Erica and Randazza down to the front of the Registry of Deeds that were filming it. So I don't know if anybody forwarded the video.
Well, I hope she's all right, because I know she was shaken up last time, just getting threatened with it, right?
Yeah, I mean, she's been wearing the same sweatshirt for 2 weeks now. So, but Mark Randazzo showed up just in time because Mark wanted to see what the buffer zone was, like boots on the ground.
Yep.
And then he grabbed a group, which included Erica. A lot of them took off their like Karen Reed gear. So nobody was really wearing anything except Erica. And she had the, Norfolk County is criminal thing.
Yeah, but so what? I posted the merch
I don't know
store.
how that.
I posted the merch store for microdots, drop microdots. It's merchandise. It doesn't say anything about Karen Reed. It's perfectly appropriate. It's within her First Amendment rights. It's ridiculous, Scott. Just ridiculous.
I think so.
And who was it? Who grabbed her?
Well, I believe I wasn't there. I was 200 feet away because I was still at the buffer zone line. But I believe it would be, Sergeant Mike Hardman ordered his men to arrest her. I don't know which particular trooper made the arrest.
Crazy. Okay.
By the way, we have great viewers. Mara said she'll donate for her bail. Welcome to Mike B from 413, new member. And when we get to Burgess, we have a great question to put up. But Scott, I mean, they're not only not backing down, they're making things worse, right? They're using this to say they can do more things to people.
I mean, not that I wanted to see anybody arrested, especially Erica, the friend of mine and a major leader in this movement. But it's almost good that, Mark Randazza was there. He wanted to, see what was going on, boots on the ground, where we were explaining to Attorney Randazza, this really wasn't a win. The state police basically kept the buffer zone the way it was. Judge Beverly Cannoni's latest ruling, where she had 48 hours after the federal court, she just rewrote a word salad that just says the same thing. And the state police down there were still enforcing the buffer zone the way it was before. The only thing that changed was they were allowing people to go down toward the into the buffer zone, congregate, as long as they didn't have any signs or apparel that related to the Karen Reed case. But that's the only difference I've seen since the previous buffer zone.
And that's a distinction without a difference. And hey, good, citizens can walk where they want to walk. Woo!
Exactly. And there was premature celebrations last week. Oh, the buffer zone's been overturned. We can go back to what we did in trial 1. But that's not at all the case. And I was explaining that myself.
Well, I know we had you on.
Attorney Randazza.
Yeah, we talked about it, and I had Mark on. We talked about it with him as well, and we had great hopes that they would do something. But you could tell by the way it was written, it was left to the interpretation of the guys with the guns, and they're idiots. So you get what you get. So next step, have you heard anything about plans for the organization? Are you guys going to retreat to the old buffer zone lines, or what?
Well, I mean, so this is the like course of events. So Mark Randazza literally pulls up behind our cars at the 200-foot buffer zone line. He comes out. I get my sign signed by Mark. I get a photograph of him. And then he's like, hey, let's go walk the buffer zone. I want to be boots on the ground and see what it's like in the buffer zone. That's when he gathered a group along with Erica Walsh. And they walked into the buffer zone. From my vantage point, 200 feet the registry of deeds is on, our right, and that's where they approached her, and that's where she was arrested. Meanwhile, Mark had a 4:00 Zoom hearing with the federal judge. So he went into the basement of the registry of deeds, Michael, and he had his laptop and he
went to my office.
Your office, and he did the 4:00 Zoom hearing with the federal judge. And just coincidentally, oh, by the way, I was just outside with one of the protesters that was just arrested. Judge Cannoni and the state police out here haven't done a thing, Your Honor. And Mark Randazza came out of that Zoom meeting back out onto the street, back to where we are parked, where his car was parked. And he says that the federal judge is not happy. And Mark Randazza is saying he has a Thursday in person with the federal courthouse.
Yeah, 3:00 in Boston, and I'm going to go up there. I'm coming up Wednesday morning and Thursday when the court in Dedham is dark. I'm going to go up there and watch that action unfold. Because he and I have been in touch over the weekend when I said, what happened Friday, and I don't know what your schedule is, but somebody needs to fix this. It's worse than it was before. So good for him, and good for.
I hope the federal judge. What's he going to do? Force Judge Cannoni to rewrite it again?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. She was given that chance. Remember, the original order said, if you don't do it, we will. And then they nudged a little bit with that 48-hour deadline. But I would think she's blown her chance. That the feds will come in and say, here's what we're doing. And if you don't act accordingly, then you're the target of the court. So that's what I.
Well, I mean, I hope the federal courts do something here, because I believe it's a situation where nothing's changed.
Yep.
And this is what's going to happen. There's going to be more people coming down there when we get to the defense's case or jury deliberations. There's going to be a lot more people down there, and unless they iron out all these problems, there's just going to be more arrests.
Yep, and
and that's what they're trying to do, people. By the way, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to do that because there's a rumor that one of the reporters, Jonathan Hall, is reporting that he heard Hank Brennan say that he may rest his case Tuesday or Wednesday. So I don't know if it's next week or this week. If it's this week, it sounds like he's not calling Welcher. May just end up with his brain guy.
Yeah. Well, that would be. You might as well run the white flag up and surrender. If
I have to. I love Mark Randazz's, passion, and I believe in him. So I'm hoping that he makes some headway here Thursday. Meanwhile, it's the status quo down there. Sergeant Hardman and his men are just doing what they're doing. Beverly's latest ruling has changed very little. The only thing is Sergeant Hardman's allowing people to kind of go down there as long as they have no signs and no apparel. So,
yeah, that's enough.
I mean, what's the point? Otherwise, okay, there's a bunch of people in civilian clothes standing around. Why? Did their bus break down? What are they doing? What's the point of protesting if you can't have a sign? People driving by wouldn't even know why you're there.
Yeah, and you guys aren't even protesting; you're supporting. So where,
I use the word protesting poorly.
I mean, but protesting gives some sort of sense that it's it's loud and it's maybe violent and it's unruly, but it's far from that. So Scott, stay safe. I'll see you there in a couple of days, and hopefully things will be corrected sooner rather than later.
Yes. Welcome, seeing you there again.
Yeah.
Bye, Linda.
Bye, Scotty.
Bye. See you.
Take care, man.
Now,
Okay.
oh my goodness gracious. So I was hearing a little bit about. I think one of your things was going.
I'm not playing a thing. So
okay.
I got nothing moving here.
Oh wait.
Now
I've
got the clip that I was going to play, but I'm just gonna test drive it now because Clearly, there's been some
Yeah.
audio
By the
issues
way,
from
Shannon
before.
Burgess is listed still as a forensic expert, digital forensic on the Aperture website. But if you go to the LinkedIn, it's now private. His LinkedIn is now private. Shannon-Burgess B799B7136. Okay. So that's been shall we say, remedied. And the CV now says not for expert designation, but it's irrelevant because you put something on your website that has a false credential. It doesn't matter whether you're expert designating or whatever. It's whatever. So
okay, this is just a test.
okay.
Anybody hearing anything but me?
I hear nothing. I'm hearing nothing. Okay.
You're not
Is
hearing
that
anything.
is that the clip that was forwarded to us? That
No. This is just the actual cross-examination.
Why don't you take the clip that that was Scotland to sound like he was playing something. Why don't you take the clip at least Dizzy forwarded to you about Hank? It's in your drive. Okay.
Let's see if this one's any better. Hold on, I'm gonna have to bring it into the mix.
It's in the drive because I want to make a point about this with the we've had two questions on Burgess. Zsa Kitty, could a judge strike Burgess's testimony? If this were in federal court, not only would Burgess's testimony be struck, but we're going to talk about Hank Brennan and possibly being held in contempt, okay, if this were in federal court, right? And Grandma 6, my question has to do with the zone, Michael, is what if the other side and they were protesting or walking in front of the courthouse, would they be treated the same way or would they be okay with them? I think
on the other side, meaning the Registry of Deeds side?
No. The other side meaning, convict Karen Reed.
Oh, the prosecution.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we have to guess since nobody's ever seen anybody there except when they've had on-camera moments, I guess, for productions. I mean, I've been up there a bunch of times. I've never seen one person. Although, if you want to find a supporter, the best thing you can do is just go into court because a couple of the very strong prosecution reporters have beaten the randomizer.
Yeah, amazing.
One guy, what's his name? He's been in there every time. Right. And then DePetro, is that his name? DePetro. He's been in there all but every once.
Yeah. So, pretty much every week.
And nobody else has quite that luck with the randomizer. Yeah. So,
Flamingo Chicky, thank you for that donation because Michel Bryant may need it for bail money. We're hearing. Right. Have you heard of Aperture before now? I haven't, but when I look, it looks like they're going and buying big companies that do different things. They're buying different or smaller companies to become one big conglomerate. And when that happens, you kind of lose a quality control, don't you? Especially when what happens is, my experience is, people aren't used to having to be trying against high-profile teams that are really good attorneys because most of the attorneys are not good. And you put a group that's together, a team together. If you put a good team together, they'll tell you. We had it in Hernandez. They said we never seen anything like you because talking about the team because they're not used to that kind of probing. They're not used to people doing a good job, and they can get away with it. So Aperture probably. I'm sure that Mr. Welcher is having a discussion whether he should testify or not now.
What's that?
You can't hear me? I think Mr. Welcher, because remember Hank Brennan, we're looking for the clip where Hank Brennan talked about there was a big issue in court last week. This is why Burgess was allowed to come in. And remember whether or not he'd give more time to Bob Alessi to prep. Bob Alessi didn't want any more time, okay? They had to have Burgess testify before Welcher because Welcher is going to rely on Burgess' information, which everyone was like, oh, look at this information. Turns out all bullshit. All right, that's a technical legal term. Okay, so I had not heard of them before now. I've heard a lot of other groups, but I'd never heard of Aperture. But I gather they're a big company when you look at their website, okay?
Michael, and it is a West Coast company, so they're vaguely familiar to me, but, so what?
Read the group chat on the sound issue, Michael. Put a tip in with your screenshot on your sound issue to try in group chat. So there is a tip. But Michael can't see. Can you re-put the tip in the group chat here, Missy? Okay, because he's not seeing it. Okay.
You're talking about the private chat?
Yes, the private chat. I know you. Make sure this. Okay, Michael. Also, make sure the audio button is clicked on when you share the tab. Okay. Make sure the audio button is clicked on.
There's only one audio button I'm aware of, and it's about as clipped as it could be. It's on. I mean, I've done a bazillion clips, and this is the first time I've seen it become an audio issue.
Okay.
So here's that clip that you're looking for.
Yeah, let's look at this. And the reason why I want to talk about this is what happened in court today.
So let's see if anything happens
from the other day.
Hold on.
No, and it's something on your end. It's something on your end with your settings. Okay. Oh, here you go.
But I download them. I download them like a man. I don't just play them off the edges.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, there's nothing.
Typical man.
Yep. So
Typical man can't get a sound going on a show. All right. So
I'm going back to my way.
Okay, here you go. Here you go, Michael. Here you go. Can you play it? There it is. You can hear it.
The variance means that these times would never align whatsoever. And I received this report on May 8th. I was surprised to receive it. I welcomed it. We turned it over on May 8th. There was no delay. It's been a week now. The defense has had this information.
Okay, so he said we turned it over on May 8th when we got
No,
it.
more importantly, he said he received it on May 8th.
Yes, I'm sorry,
Then-
received it on May 8th.
And what's so crucial to that,
Hold
I
on.
think he said,
And I received this report on May 8th.
Yeah, and we know it was
That
3 months. It was
is
3 months
a-
earlier.
that is a specific lie, okay? Because Shannon Burgess, in his naivete today, I guess they couldn't get their act together, said, you and I talked about it on May 7th, okay? May 7th, okay? So Hank Brennan, just if that Shannon Burgess is to be believed on that, and I think he's kind of too, by then he wasn't going to, he wasn't with the program, right? He talked with Hank Brennan on May 7th and said this was coming, that this was coming. So when Hank Brennan said, oh, surprise, what he's doing is mincing words. Not that he didn't know it was coming. Oh, it came and he was surprised to get the actual
Yeah.
report.
Whoa, there it is.
There it is. But he knew on May, so he lied to that court. Okay.
And you don't think he knew before the 7th? I mean,
I
come
think
on.
he did, but I'm just telling you based on the two testimonies, he lied to that court. Now, can you imagine if this were anyone from the defense team? And I am livid over this, and the judge just sits there and then sustains objections when Alessi is questioning. Are you kidding me? You
No.
judge know that this man in front of you has lied to you to your face on a specific issue that you let these people testify. Okay, I'm going to be done.
So anyway, yeah. So I mean, I've got the clip we were going to use, but since I didn't download it, it is not listenable. So that's all I can tell you. If we have another version of it, great.
Oh,
It
look
can
at
be
this.
played.
Skyhopper
Skyhopper.
T16 Media. My dad and mom let me have my allowance early, so maybe this can help Erica's bail or use it wherever. I love you all.
So
That
nice.
is so absolutely wonderful. So wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So very much. Especially if Michael gets it, because Michael's going to be going in there. I mean, he's going to be. You're not going to be afraid. I know you.
Yeah, I just don't think they're that stupid. Maybe they are. I don't know. Maybe they are.
Right. So, so let's go back to the fact. I want to go back to the fact that Brennan lied. I know we now you're worried about having a sound clip in with regard to Shannon's testifying, but we can talk about it all. We can talk about the house of Jenga, right, falling apart, because it's his testimony that Welcher is going to testify. So let me ask you this: what do you think is happening in the Aperture Crisis Management Office?
Oh my
across the
gosh.
country?
I mean, because this came in 3 hours early for them, so crack of dawn. I guess it was noonish by the time he got on, right? Or just what was it, like 10:30 or 11?
Well, by the time he got across, it was after lunch.
Yeah, but
Okay.
but yeah.
Yeah.
So for them, 9 a.m., 10 a.m., just starting the day. Let's tune this in. Let's flip on that trial and see how our guy's doing. Oh shit! And then
Well,
and then
in the
it
morning,
just
it
kept
looked
getting
great.
worse.
Right?
Well,
In the
yeah.
morning, it looked like, oh, and I did this, and I did that, and I did this, and I did that, and I found all this stuff.
Sure.
For me, he
Sure.
lost me when he said that
Sure.
there was a chip that was it had been heated so much with the solder melted. He was able to take it off and he retrieve information that hadn't been retrieved.
That's
Okay,
amazing.
let me ask you this, Michael. You have an expert understanding of digital forensics. How can you not know the difference between a megabyte, a gigabit,
Well, that I mean
and a
that
gigabyte?
I thought that was going to be a joke. I thought that that Alessi had somehow misconstrued what he read and but yeah, megabit versus megabyte. I mean, that is just mega stupid. There's no way he should not know that with the education the education and the training that
17
he's
years.
had.
And I don't care if he had a college degree or not. That doesn't really bother me. But the fact he lied about it,
No.
trying to make it seem like he had, and that leads to the question about why didn't he, and whether he was he kicked out of school, could he not complete the requirements, did he fail courses, whatever. That leads to all sorts of stuff, right? With regard to it. But I mean, he lied. He basically said that was wrong. He told that jury the reason why he was able to retrieve information and make these findings was because the information had not been pulled off the computer chips by the Commonwealth's previous experts. It turns out that was false. That was
simple.
False.
Simple. Yeah. It was just so obvious and painfully so that I couldn't believe it. And it kept getting worse and worse and worse because everything. And then he was so, I'll give him this much, he was matter of fact about his lying, right? He wasn't pulling a Buchanan where he was just sliding left and right to see if he could get out from under being caught lying.
Yeah, at least when he didn't know what the word mendacity is, which we heard what's our favorite person down there? What is her name? Oh yes, I know, Fonnie Willis, right?
Oh,
the
Fonnie.
odor of mendacity.
Yes, the odor.
He didn't. At least he didn't ask for a dictionary. He didn't ask for Merriam-Webster's dictionary like Buchanan did on theory. I mean, I got to give him that. I'll give him that one.
And I decided that if he has any degree, it would be a master's in mendacity. If he's going to get an honorary degree of some sort.
How can anyone, you saw the Twitter saying, oh, look at how great it is, because he was able to move the timeline back for a minute and all to try to get it appropriate so that Karen Reed would have hit John O'Keefe. I think this I'm not in the courtroom, so I can't imagine the jury giving any credibility to his. And I think he's going to attack him. He started attacking him on the data with the megabytes and the gigabytes and the gigabits. I think he's going to do more. I mean, I think he's going to do tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. He's definitely not done. So, and that doesn't even count at redirect. It's going to be a joke. And then there'll be a recross. So how do you go in if you've got a witness that has just admitted to enhancing his professional training, which he relies upon for his opinions? How do you go and fix that?
How do you fix that his opinions are based on false testimony? How do you fix the fact that they're incorrect? How do you fix any of it? I mean, I think the defense has to go in with a motion for mistrial with prejudice, right? And I think they got to move for contempt for Hank Brennan. I think they got to go in with guns ablaze.
Yeah, I thought they should have done that today, just based on the ruling allowing this to happen. But now that we've seen it happen and know what the background is, it's a double or nothing. Can you have a double mistrial motion?
And maybe they were waiting. Okay, not only did you allow them to come in, and then maybe they were waiting. Maybe it's all prepared, being done because they knew what was going to happen. They're not stupid. The defense. Let's put it that way.
Of course.
And the degree is not completed. I know it does not exist. Some of our chatters, by the way, pointed that out this morning, Michael.
What was that?
That the degree that he has not completed.
Oh no,
does not even exist at that school.
We talked about that, and he said that was another error, and he went ahead and he corrected it and broken it down. The thing is, that is a much lesser issue, but it's too late. It's too late. He's been torn apart on the bigger issue, so these little things that are thrown in just don't matter. You're done, dude. You're done.
Yeah, and that's what was beautiful about Alessi, because it wasn't just one CV we could say it was an accident, right? It was three. It was three over a period of how many years?
Well, we know he's been trying to get this degree for 17, but one of the CVs was 2015, one was 2022, and I think his updated one was 2024. And they all have, one of them, and I'm not sure which one, said degree being pursued, I think is how it was couched.
Right.
That's at least that's honest.
Right. I've seen that on people's things, matriculating.
Except when you learn that he's been pursuing it since 2008, it gets a little sticky. 17 years. I've heard of slow learning, but come on. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. So we'll have to see whether or not they're going to finish with him and then move for a mistrial. His testimony, you can strike it or you can leave it, because what would you do? Would you move to strike it all? Because then Welcher can't testify. Welcher has to testify based on the old report, which allows John O'Keefe to be alive after the triggering event
Well,
supposedly
so
occurs.
you look at Welcher's testimony and you say, well, is there, if you're on the defense, is there more, bad than good? If he's going to be made to look almost, if not as bad, bring it on. Then you've got this stack of prosecution experts that all seem like lying, conniving, fantasy writers that all work for the prosecution. So I don't know. I wouldn't mind.
And then
I wouldn't mind.
you bring in gamma ray guy who's going to say, well, he's got a contract injury there for that was caused by a strike, and the medical examiner, which and everybody missed it. Oh, come on. And what about Chloe? Where's Chloe in all this?
Oh, Chloe, poor Chloe. Some say Chloe is no longer among the living.
Yeah,
it's very possible.
Linda, I read. Let me just put this. Linda Paul B says, let me put this out. I read the chat. I think your phone call, a voice message, made a big difference. Well, I didn't, but I told you about it. I did call in front of you, and I do have the number that Michel Bryant gave me, but it didn't say Aperture. It said something else. I assume it's a small company out of that office that he was out of. That was probably brought previously. But anyhow, Michael, what else? Because I know when I was on the air when this is all was happening, and then you went on the air and you were on all through it happening, right?
Yeah, I went through, and there's so many notes because there were so many gotcha moments with this guy, and people kept talking about how red he was, that he was like his head was about to explode, and one of the things that Alessi does, in addition to being very smart, is that he paces in a way, and I don't mean paces the floor, paces his cross-examination in a way that makes you wonder what's next. It sets up to a definite moment, and he'll let it hang in the air for a little bit. So as deliberate as he is normally, when he is working his way up to some sort of gotcha, it's really fun to watch. And he started this whole cross-examination with, you're comfortable with the term confirmation bias, right? Oh, yeah. How about anchor bias? And he wasn't as familiar, but he kind of got it. Okay, so that's the foundation for something. And then he goes on and on to build into this this whole CV issue, and the fact that perhaps he was crafting his story to fit a narrative that he had been given. And the anchor bias, which is an interesting wrinkle on that, that's basically, you can't shake me, right? From whatever I have in mind, you can't shake me. Confirmation bias is more like I'm looking for the things that support my position. But anchor bias is I've got my position. Nothing you say is going to change that. And so it was an interesting setup for a guy that was about to fall very hard.
Yeah, no, it's true. At one point, though, I wasn't sure if he said he knew about the National Academy of Sciences report, because I remember doing a double take, because everybody who knows about that, does forensic science, knows about that with confirmation bias. He may have. I just don't. You were on the air, and I don't think I can't remember. So you all probably all remember. But something got me like, wait, you're an expert. You don't know about this? It was really, really, really crazy. I thought. Okay. So what happens? This is a really good question. I'm saying, what happens if Aperture pulls Dr. Welcher from being an expert? What happens?
Well, what happens? Meaning, who else do they have to support their wild theory?
Well, yeah. Who else do they have, and where do they go?
Because they've got. I mean, if Burgess is relying to some degree on Welcher, and Welcher to some degree on Burgess, I think. You got nowhere else. These guys cancel one another out effectively. So we still don't know there was any contact made, right? That's I haven't heard anything on that. So if you skip Welcher, you better bring on somebody, and it'll be the razzle dazzle from Florida, right? That will prove that contact took place between the SUV and John O'Keefe. And that at this point is the whole case. It's the whole case.
Yeah, that becomes the whole case. Right.
That's
because the DNA is meaningless.
Yeah, for the things that they did not find, because they didn't have tests from Higgins and Albert and
or go in the house,
other Albert,
or go in Brown Albert's house to test to see if anything happened, right? And have any, right.
So again, there's your confirmation bias. Let's just take the sample of the one we want to find. Hey, we found it. And let's ignore the others because that will not help on our narrative. So I would think they want to end with the physical evidence in their minds that prove there was a collision. And remember, there was I don't know if you heard this or not, but in the reports done by Mr. Burgess, and it's sometimes hard to try and support something he said because it's so good for the defense when you're tearing him down, basically for everything he's done. But two things he did not, one thing he did not put in two reports was the word collision. He talked about incident and not collision. So, as Alan Jackson said in the opening statement, there is no collision, no collision, no collision, and this guy doesn't include collision in his reports.
Yeah, and at some point, I think whether he does it over objection, or he's got to get in the fact that, by the way, were you told that the medical examiner did not find there was a collision here, and how would that affect you? Something to the effect. He's got to just ask him that question. Hanko's gonna still try to redirect him because he doesn't give up. He does not give up.
Oh, of course. Oh, and I don't blame him. I mean, that's his job. I'm just saying, hypothetically, if you're in that position, where are you going, and how are you going to save this guy from himself?
Well, if I were him, I wouldn't get back on the stand. I mean, I wouldn't get back on the stand.
If you were the
if I were Shannon Burgess, I wouldn't get back on the stand, because I think that you're saying that you didn't do this. You've left yourself open to possible perjury in other cases now if he testified, because he testified. He'd never been in federal court, which I thought was interesting. He's supposed to be a great expert. He had 4 states, including now Massachusetts, 5, that he's testified as an expert. So that everyone who had those cases where he testified are going back to look at it, prepping the lawsuit right now, and he's leaving himself open to perjury. He's leaving himself open to that. And if I were his lawyer, I would tell him he doesn't go back on the stand. He just doesn't.
Well, that would look even weirder, I think, only because the end of the day was clear that he wasn't done. He wasn't all set, right? He wasn't all set. So it leaves the jury to wonder. They've seen his performance, which is horrible. And now he's gone. Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well,
so anyone know any other cases that he's testified on? See, what we don't have is when experts are designated, they have to give over a list, especially in federal court, a list of every place they've ever been deposed for the last 5 years or testified. I think that may have gone down to 3 now, or vice versa. I forget which we're up to now, 3 or 5, whatever. But you have to give over a list, okay? And some of my experts keep their list for a long time. They keep it beyond the 5 years. They keep it for the whole time of where they've been deposed under oath. So that way you can go looking for their testimony with other lawyers and get it and compare it. So it seems to me that if I don't remember in Hernandez whether that the experts had to do that, give over a list of where they testify and all. But I'm sure that anyone who's ever had him testify is looking at the case now.
That's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this guy, where does he go from here? I mean, after this case, he's
got a young child. I see it on Twitter. He's got a young child. I mean, it's humiliated. But when you come in and want to be the savior, it's only his fault. He on his Twitter said, look, come to me. I can find stuff nobody else can, right? I can, if everything is damaged, I can find it. And I wrote an article about it, and I doubt his article had the real peer review like you would have in a real forensic article. And I'm sure that we haven't even gotten there yet. All right. But when you start wanting to be the savior and finding things, and we've had experts in the forensic community, the drug person in the lab in Massachusetts, who can find things that no one else cannot. The bite mark that's not really a bite mark. There's a gazillion people in prison wrongfully, right, that got out of prison, and you all know it. And I'm using gazillion in a generic fashion, not with the 30 zeros past or whatever, on faulty or false credentials, testimony, and also false testimony by experts. So, it's only his fault, not anyone else's.
No, there's no doubt. He puts himself in the hot seat, and sure. Well, he's sure in trouble now, and we'll see how it plays out tomorrow. Or maybe they take the LKB plan, and we don't see any more Burgess. I don't know about that. So why do you think that they're on?
Your dog wants to come.
Yes.
Your dog would like to come in. Domino would like to come in.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
And that's your wife. That's not your dog.
Yeah. That's the dog whisperer.
Domino.
What were we talking about? I forgot.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was so entranced by Domino and your wife behind you.
I try and ignore her. I
I'm
don't know.
like
Sometimes
a
it works.
juror.
Yeah. What were we talking about? I forgot.
Are we talking about whether or not he gets pulled as a witness, or whether he pulls himself as a witness, or does Aperture pull him as a witness now? Okay. I mean, Aperture is liable to be sued. If Karen Reed gets a not guilty here, you're going to find a lot of suits against Aperture. The best they can do, in my opinion, if I'm advising them, I'm cutting their losses. I'm pulling my experts. If I'm
Well,
Aperture,
if I'm representing Aperture, I'm thinking the other thing. I'm thinking if I pull him, I'm admitting some sort of culpability. I'm going with traditional vicarious liability, meaning he is acting outside the course and scope of his employment with no approval from us in any way.
Not if you keep him on, but what if you keep him on? Then aren't you saying you're approving him staying there because you didn't take the authority?
No, I think that's consistent with saying we have nothing to do with this. Nothing. We didn't set him up, and we did what we could as soon as we learned, and that was we changed his profile on our site, if that's what they did.
Well, they still say he's an expert. They just changed his CV and then
changed his CV. Because I saw one that had a banner across it of some sort. I'll have to look at that again. But no, I think if I'm representing them, I think it's almost an admission to do something as the employer, to take the employee off the stand. He's on his own. Everything he's done is outside the course and scope.
But then you got to not bill for it, and you got to make that clear. And if that's
fine.
If
that's the least of their worries is billing for this guy.
If Aperture calls and says that becomes Brady material. That becomes Brady material.
If they call and do what?
If they call and say he's no longer, we are disavowing in terms of him working for us. He's maybe not, but we didn't authorize him to do this, and we're disavowing them. That's Brady material. Do you think Brennan's going to turn that over? No, he ain't going to.
No, but we're looking at it two different contexts. This is, as it relates to Aperture and Burgess, that's a civil matter. That they're not going to be criminally culpable for what he may do in this trial. There's just no way. That's criminal activity if he's found liable for anything, perjury, right? That's never within the course and scope of employment.
I agree, but except that civilly, they're the ones who put him on the website. How could you not vet his credentials? It took the defense team 2 days to vet his credentials. Okay, 2 days to vet his credentials. Okay,
Yeah. So again, that's civil, and I think they are negligent for doing that, but it ain't criminal. So I think if the more they're connected to him and what he's done, the worse they look. It's harder to say it's not in the course and scope of his employment if they're kind of still putting their arms around the guy in some way.
Well, so that's why I think they have to pull him in some way. He's gonna. What's going to happen? Aperture went out and bought an exemplar car. You bought a taillight. How expensive was that?
Yeah.
All right.
I'd have to see. They said it was a similar model, so I don't know if that meant it wasn't the LX. Yeah, but Welcher CVs also, they point out, Karen McCord on the Aperture website also has a not for expert designation. That doesn't mean anything. That means, it's not so that you can say they're an expert for their CV, but they're still listed as an expert under the experts. Okay. All right. Yeah.
So,
yes. I'm looking real quick because I looked it up earlier. Not that I was going to buy Alexis to be testing it out. Let me just buy one and test it out for the effort here. Let's see if there's a basic number we can get. 40,000, give or take, 40 to 50,000.
That's just before they start any work. They're buying that, right?
Yeah.
That's if they started working.
I mean, they might get a junker. Here's a 21 that's 86 grand.
Oh wow, that's
and one for 91,000 for the bigger road. Well, remember these are retail numbers, so just like when I buy secondhand, they could probably find a lesser vehicle. But I did find it interesting where they tried to put they keep calling it a module or a chip or a card. They tried to reinstall it in her car, car.
It didn't work.
It didn't work. And so then they put it in the fake car, the knockoff car, the replica, which they've got some foundational issues in my mind, but they were never really held to that standard yet, right? I think that may be coming.
I think it's coming.
They have to establish that vehicle is virtually the same. Otherwise, it's irrelevant.
Right. They put it, and if you see remember Karen's car was at nighttime. They said they did the test. Is Olivia still in the chat here, or did she leave? they did the test. He said he did the test at the same time and all. It's light. It's light outside his car. Okay, it wasn't. Definitely wasn't night. Olivia was here. I don't know if she's still in the chat. Olivia, you still here? I don't know. Olivia Nile, if you haven't filed her, Olivia Lambo, she's fabulous on her X account. She really has this down. So why was this so important today? Why was it important for him to change the timeline? Let's just revisit real quickly. Whippen testified that his testimony, the JOK's phone data showed that he was on the phone from 12:31:56 to 12:32:16. Okay, and then he says after 12:32:16, there's no more interaction with JOK in the phone. All right. So, however, Aperture claims that John O'Keefe was struck with 12:31:43. So, and seconds matter in this case. 13 seconds was very important. So they try to move this back, right? They try to say that John O'Keefe's phone was on different time when you looked at it. I don't know. I look around here when my time changes from daylight savings to regular time. Everything I own changes at the same time, including my car.
Yeah. I have a few old school ones where I still have to forward or back. Some of the analog hand ones. I do have a very cool clock from Switzerland called Mondaine, and it's called a stop to go clock. Have you ever heard of a stop to go clock?
No.
This is perfectly Swiss. Sorry as I digress. What are Swiss known for? Trains running on time, watches, clocks, right? They found that they could synchronize their whole train clock system. You know, when you go into the station, you kind of want to know that clock is the right time because you're waiting on a train, right? Did I miss it? Is it coming? They built in a mechanism in these clocks where at the top of each minute, the second hand pauses for about half a second, and then it picks up again. And by doing that, it synchronizes all the clocks for any little minor variations that might take place if you had individual clocks everywhere. It's fascinating. It's called Stop to Go. It's a feature that I've only seen on these Mondaine clocks, which are the official clocks of the Swiss train operation. So there, wow. Put that away for future use, future Jeopardy use.
If you're here from Twitter, we've had X, I should say. All right, we've been doing this experiment. A lot of people have come over from X. A lot of you. Please hit the like, the share, and the subscribe button here, and come over. You know, you can watch us on X, but also join us here on YouTube. That helps us for us to get you, for you to find us, and so far it's working a lot. A lot of people, new chatters that we hadn't seen before. We love all the new chatters that are here. You give us ideas, and we try to answer your questions when we can. It's just that there was so much happening today, and usually we're a little bit better on the playing back of the videos. Just so you know.
My fault. I'm not relying on that ever again. I'm going back to the old school way.
It's just like, what can I say? Your failures tonight on the video playing were just representative of what happened to the Commonwealth.
I'm blaming it on about an hour's sleep in 36 hours. How about that?
Yeah, I know. That's
true. I'll blame it on that.
Yeah, no, that's true. It's amazing that you were on today at all. I had volunteered to take the whole day, and you said no. And
no, I mean, I've been tuning in and anxious to chime in, and I didn't know I was going to get what I got, but yeah, it was a good day. Yeah. Not if you're the prosecution, but it was an entertaining, good legal learning day. And that's, you know, we just want justice to be served, and if it falls one way, it falls one way. If it falls the other, it falls the other. But we're here to observe it, talk about it, figure it out, and today was a good day.
Okay. And tomorrow morning you will be on bright and early at 8:50. Because I expect at 9 o'clock there's going to be something happening in the courtroom. I don't know why.
I think that is correct. There will be something happening in the court. I think you are 100% correct. Yeah. All right, and then you'll flip flop and do the afternoon, and maybe I'll circle back to the evening. That's up in the air.
I know you have to leave at 12. I'll try to be on by 12. I'll be ready and all. So all of you, are we ready to? We have a thumbnail for tomorrow. I don't know if we portal in the morning or not. Yes. Oh boy, that car was really nice. Yeah, they put a brand new car. Okay, before they told her.
I mean, you know, that's Fairfield. Norfolk
costs.
County paid for that, and taxpayers, I'm sure, are happy to see that. I just saw one in here. We do have a new member, and I was going to try and pop it up here, and then it disappeared.
I didn't touch it.
I didn't touch it. Is that it? Hey, Paula, new sub.
New sub,
Is that-
new
new
subscriber.
sub,
Hey,
new
hey,
sub.
Paula. Thank you. And we still might have to, because we do have several Supreme Court members. We have to get on a date. We haven't given a date that we can talk
I
about
know, and
one-on-one.
we try to throw it out to those folks, and then just
I think it's
collaborate on
on
a
us
date
now.
to do
I
it.
think it's on us now that they want it.
Is it?
My last email was that we had to give them some dates. Okay.
Okay,
So,
let's
all
do
right.
that then.
All right. So Turtle Boy is going live at 9. If you haven't listened to Aiden, I think it's whether you like him or not, it's good to listen to him, because he really has he really knows in this. Without him, none of us would know about this case, and without him, none of us would be there, and without him, none of us would see justice not being served in that courtroom. We'll see if the jury gets it right. Right now, Michael Bryant and I both think that the case has not been proven beyond a reasonable doubt. And I
No,
don't
I've seen nothing new. Last time was what the hell happened. So far, it's still what the hell happened, and what the hell are you doing? So yeah, it's no better. No better.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, partner. So we will do it again tomorrow. Until then, I'm Michael Bryant. Try to do the right thing.
And before you go, hit that like, the subscribe, the share, and the notify. And I'll see you tomorrow also. Bye.